Hello, and welcome to the Bluegrass Rangers 2025 program introduction. This is Scott Ward, president of Bluegrass Rangers Baseball Club. Thanks for taking a few short minutes to review this presentation to learn a little bit more about the Rangers program and how it may be a good fit for your family. Our agenda for tonight consists of the following. We'll begin with a brief introduction of myself and our leadership team for the Bluegrass Rangers program. I'll talk a little bit about the history and purpose of Rangers, and then follow that up with a couple of slides around what Rangers is and what Rangers isn't. Lastly, we'll talk about expectations and commitments for those families that are participants of the program, and then share my contact information for any additional questions or follow-up that you may have. Once again, my name is Scott Ward. I am the president and one of the founding members of the Bluegrass Rangers Baseball Club. My family has been a part of Bluegrass Little League since 2016 with my son Hayden. You can see him in the photo there. He began playing t-ball at the age of 5 and played his entire youth baseball career at Bluegrass Little League, aging out after his 12-year-old season. During that time there, I was a head coach from 2017 through 2024, an all-stars coach from 2018 to 2023, and served on the board of directors for 3 seasons as the all-stars coordinator. I've also been the team manager or head coach of a Rangers team since the inception of the program with our inaugural season back in 2020. Our Rangers program is led by a board of directors consisting of 9 positions. The first 5 positions listed are our executive committee, followed by the next 4 being supporting members. You do see we have a couple of open positions, and so I will be looking for some adventurous volunteers to help us round out our leadership staff for the 2025 season. Let's talk a little bit about the history and purpose of the organization. As I mentioned, I was one of 2 founding members of the Bluegrass Rangers Baseball Club, along with my good friend and former coaching partner, Nathan Lowe. Nathan was the president at Bluegrass Little League for many years, where his 2 boys played their entire youth career before aging out and moving into other opportunities at the high school level. Nathan and I realized that we wanted to provide something more for families seeking a higher level of competitive play than what traditional community-based league play could offer. We recognized this exodus of high-quality, talented players from local leagues into the traditional travel ball world, really weakening the overall competition level and the level of talent within Bluegrass Little League and quite frankly, other leagues in the area. Rangers was started as a way to combat that exodus of players by providing something more, with the ultimate goal of improving the quality of play at Bluegrass Little League, including the annual All-Stars tournament teams. And our mission statement that you can see at the bottom of the slide there is that Rangers will better prepare Bluegrass Little League players to compete in the Little League All-Stars tournament competitions held each summer. That's our goal. There's a lot of other benefits and things that happen and that go along with being a member of a Rangers baseball club team, but the primary goal is to help better prepare our Bluegrass Little League players to compete. So let's talk about Rangers is. Rangers is a supplemental development program in partnership with Bluegrass Little League. Our entire focus is to invest in young athletes that have demonstrated a higher level of commitment and acumen and potential, and that have a strong desire to develop into better baseball players and better young men in our community. Rangers is a registered 501c3, nonprofit organization. We are separate from Bluegrass Little League. Everything is operated independently with regards to our board structure and our financial structure. We are a 100% volunteer staff. There are no paid members of Bluegrass Rangers. no coaches, no leadership members. No one receives a paycheck or a salary. So 100% of income that is generated and comes into the organization is spent supporting the players and the teams in this development program. Rangers is open to all current and potential Bluegrass Little League players. One of the expectations of the program, we'll talk about that shortly, is that all of our Rangers participants from ages 7 all the way up through 12 are required to participate in the spring season at Bluegrass Little League. And our program is open to all current and potential participants. And lastly, Rangers is a significant additional investment of time and money above and beyond the regular Bluegrass spring season. Our Rangers teams are typically formed each August through a competitive tryout process. Teams may begin working together as early as the fall, and we'll certainly have winter workout sessions beginning in January of the following season. Those teams then continue to practice and develop throughout the early winter months and through the spring baseball season, leading up to and including a very robust and busy summer tournament season that includes representing Bluegrass Little League, in many cases, as an all-star. So now let's talk about what Rangers isn't. We are not a traditional travel baseball program. And we are not a competitor for the other name brand programs in the Central Kentucky market. We're also not a replacement for league play. And ultimately, Rangers is not a perfect fit for everyone. I recognize that the program and the product that Bluegrass Rangers offers is a unique mix of community-based league play with competitive tournament action. That's not what everyone is looking for, and we're okay with that. Let's talk about expectations and commitments. As I mentioned earlier, Rangers teams are formed via a competitive tryout and selection process. And as such, selection to a team is not guaranteed. Now, what I will say is that we make every attempt to create multiple teams per age group where we have enough player interest, where we have volunteer coaches willing to lead a team. And ultimately, those teams will be created based on the skill level and the talent of the players selected to those teams. Some of our teams will play a much more competitive tournament schedule, while other teams will focus on player development, practices, instruction, paired with scrimmages, and yeah, potentially tournament action as they progress into the summer. One of the key commitments and expectations for all of our Bluegrass Little League and on I should say our Bluegrass Rangers programs is that all of our players should be interested and they should make being selected to a Bluegrass Little League All Stars team a top priority. That is the culmination of an entire spring and winter season of preparing so that these young athletes can represent the league in the official Little League tournaments. When you think about, well, what does that mean, an official tournament? So each summer, leagues are formed or teams are formed from Little League organizations all over the state and all over the nation. And ultimately, when you see the Little League World Series that's on ESPN in August of each year, the young men that represent Bluegrass Little League and women would have as much opportunity to make it to Williamsport and play for the World Series as any other group of kids in the country. So, as such, we ask and expect that all of our players and coaches and families should intentionally schedule your 2025 summer plans around the All Stars calendar wherever possible. We understand this is not 100% going to be the case. We are not asking you not to take vacation. We're not going to have anyone sign on the dotted line that you can't take a family cruise or head off to the beach. We're simply asking that you be very cognizant of your scheduling so that your family and your young athlete can demonstrate and support and represent the league after all of the hard work they've put in preparing for the prior 7 to 8 months. So let's talk about what that calendar looks like. Again, I mentioned tryouts will be coming up in early August. Teams will be formed and announced by the end of August. And then teams may begin a fall workout program lasting into September and October. This is independent for each team. Coaches and managers can craft their own practice schedule and possibly even play in a couple of tournaments. We do ask all teams to complete activities no later than October 31st. It's important these young athletes have time to rest and for their bodies to recover, and quite frankly, to enjoy other activities outside of baseball. Teams will then begin winter workout sessions in January, lasting into early March, typically 2 to 3 sessions per week. We have multiple options for winter workout facilities, and we'll talk more about that in a future slide. Players will then transition into the 2025 Bluegrass Little League spring season that runs March through June. During that time, Rangers teams continue to practice, most typically on Friday evenings and Sunday afternoons. During the spring season, there are multiple opportunities for Rangers teams to compete in local tournaments. Following the conclusion of the spring season, All-Stars teams from the league will be created and move into an All-Stars competition window that typically lasts through June and possibly into early July or even later, depending upon how far the team progresses. Teams then would move into a summer tournament season consisting of 5 to 7 weekend tournaments, typically here in the Central Kentucky area. Finally, what you can see, the total commitment from teams, in addition to the Bluegrass Little League spring season and the 7 to 10 weekend tournaments, you can expect all Bluegrass Rangers players to have a total game season of approximately 60 games throughout the course of the spring and summer. As noted earlier, Rangers is an additional commitment of both time and money. We expect our 2025 registration fee to vary between $400 to $700, and that will vary by team. There are a lot of factors that go into that, notably the cost of tournament entries, player insurance, uniform costs, and the number of players on each roster. If offered a position on a Rangers team, a non-refundable deposit will be required for all players. This is to ensure that we can purchase the appropriate uniform items, team insurance, and cover other costs that we incur before any Rangers player ever steps foot on a field. Now, some of the features and benefits of the program include, as I mentioned, access to winter workout facilities. The program and their entry fees cover uniform items, jerseys, hats, accessories like belts and socks, practice apparel. Because we are an independent organization from Bluegrass Little League, your player will be covered by our Bluegrass Rangers insurance. And we also partner with DBAT Lexington to provide pro shop discounts and lesson bundle discounts for those players interested in taking advantage of those. Now, I've covered a lot, but I know you may have more questions that have not been covered so far in this brief presentation. My contact information is on the screen. You can email anytime to admin@bluegrassrangers.com or feel free to call or text at 859-399-7010. Thank you for taking the time to watch this brief presentation. I look forward to meeting each one of you, and I hope you have a great 2025 season.